morning and welcome to another weekly update. Hope you're doing well. A couple of things this week. I'd say not loads and loads of new information and news, but there are some things that kind of come out, maybe things that were originally scheduled to come out of build and that kind of didn't, have fallen over into a couple of weeks after, and a couple of other things like that. So the first of them, let's get into it, is the Bookings API. So the Bookings API for Microsoft Graph has been around for a little while, but what is new is that you can now use the Bookings API to make bookings using an application endpoint. So application permission. Two different types of permissions in Graph: application permissions and user delegated permissions. Application permissions are the ones that allow your application to run headless without a user being present, and can then take those actions on behalf of other users. And it's been something that's been missing for the Bookings API. Previously, if you wanted to schedule bookings and kind of use bookings as your way to, put time in people's calendar and stuff, you couldn't really do that without having a user present. And that made it very hard for B2C scenarios where you had a customer that wanted to put something in and place something in, and it was kind of hard to use that with the Bookings API and then interrogate it and work with it without having that user present. Now you can use application permissions to do that. It makes that stuff a lot easier, and that will kind of really help a lot of scenarios actually. So kind of customer self-scheduling and all the rest of it will be it's really good actually, because I really like bookings, but it doesn't always fit the bill for all the scenarios because of things like this actually. But I think the actual bookings engine, the kind of concept, not necessarily the front end bit, but like the engine bit is really, could be really useful for custom built scenarios and custom developed applications as well, to take off some of the strain from developers around managing and scheduling a whole booking system. Wouldn't it be good just to use an abstraction that handles all of that stuff for you, but still allows you to present, a nice front end or like a custom web front end, or work with number of different applications as well. So I think this is exciting. It means that for lots of scenarios, the Bookings API is something that developers should go back and have another look at and see if it's the right thing for what they want to do now, because it might be in a way that it wasn't before. So I think it's good for that. So I will put a link to the blog post from the Microsoft Graph team, which announcing everything that's just happened and that's been made available. It's all on the beta endpoint right now, so it's not a GA thing, but it's on the beta endpoint, so you can try it out and you can start building with it so that you are ready to go when they are ready. Okay. Other things, so post build, obviously lots of things have been announced and lots of things have become enabled all across Microsoft 365. There's a update to the What's New for Developers in Microsoft Teams page, which is a really nice part of the Microsoft Teams developer documentation. It's got a new section in there for what's new around Microsoft Build and a number of different things there. It just kind of collates all of the news around Microsoft Teams development into one place, wraps it all up into one place to so you've got one place to go to make sure you're on top of all the news. So I'll put a link to that as well, so you can just make sure all the new things that are now there, and also all the links to them. So it covers all of the Teams Toolkit updates, the Teams JavaScript SDK. It's all good. So that's a nice thing to see. One of the things that was talked about at Build is live share, and this ability to create experiences in meeting applications where lots of participants of that meeting can collaborate in real time in a window that a developer has built as part of a custom application. I think this was probably published around about the same time, but I kind of missed it, so I want to call it out again. There's a live share SDK page in the Microsoft Teams documentation now that is a good place to go if you want to get started doing this and you want to dig into doing this. Start with here. This tells you what you need to know about how the SDK works, how it integrates with Teams, how it works with the Fluid framework, and what you need to do as a developer and how you get started. So it's a good landing place, jumping off place for developers to kind of go and get started doing that stuff. So that's cool. And then finally, There's something in the Microsoft roadmap which might be interesting to anyone who works with the export APIs. So one of the problems with the export API at this point in time is that it doesn't cover reactions. So if you like something, if you put a smiley face on it or an angry face on it, that information about reactions isn't captured by the export APIs today. And that can be a problem if you are using the export APIs to do backup and restore scenarios, if you're using them to do migrations, or even if you just want an accurate record of what people did and what people are doing, because a reaction is a valid, you're saying something, right? It is a user making a comment on a post, on a topic. You don't have to write words. Those reactions can carry a lot of value and a lot of meaning and a lot of weight. So they are important. So there's a new item in the Microsoft roadmap, the Microsoft 365 roadmap, to bring reactions to the export API and make sure that they get exported along with all the core message data about the message as well. So that is something that I'm just looking now is currently in development. It has a GA date of June, but it was also only added to the roadmap in June, so we'll see how that kind of works. But it's currently being marked as in development, so it is happening, but it is not available yet. Expected to kind of come probably throughout this year at some point, and if I see it go into released, I shall make sure I include it in a future weekly update. So if you're tracking it, you can use that process as well, but you can also find it in the Microsoft 365 roadmap, and I'll put a link to the exact roadmap item in the notes so that you can kind of keep hold of it as well and track it over time. All right, I think that's everything I want to talk about this week. Busy week again this week, and sorry that we're a day delayed. I took some time off, which was very nice. And if I thought about it, I could have probably done the weekly update yesterday, but I didn't really. It was nice to have a couple of days not planning the content and finding out, what's new and doing the video and everything like that. So it was nice not to have to worry about it. So apologies for it being a day late. Anyway, have a great rest of week, whatever it is you're doing, and I will talk to you again next time.